Howdy, Simmers. I recently did a video where I recreated the fairies from the show Winx Club, and I had a lot of fun with it. Today, I want to actually try to recreate an even more iconic group of fairies, the Tinkerbell fairies. Growing up, my favorite Disney movie was Peter Pan, and my favorite character from that movie was Tinkerbell. And then they released the whole Disney Fairies movie line, and there were dolls, and of course the books, which I actually never read myself, unfortunately. But I just fell in love with the world of Pixie Hollow and Tinkerbell and everything to do with it. And before anyone asks, yes, I did play Pixie Hollow online. I miss it so much, and I am well aware of We the Pixies and Fairy ABC. Just putting that out there. I know the rewrites are out there, okay? Getting into this, I will say I don't feel like I did the best job at recreating the Tinkerbell fairies compared to the Winx Club fairy recreation that I did. And I think it comes down to a stylization thing. I think I'm just better at recreating 2D characters in The Sims 4 than I am at recreating 3D characters because Winx Club primarily was in 2D, whereas the Tinkerbell movies were all in this 3D animated style. And I think it just doesn't translate over well trying to get the exact likeness of 3D to 3D. So, if you could even consider Sims 3D, I don't really know. But I just, I really wanted to make them look fully like the fairies in the Tinkerbell movies. And there was no way for me to accomplish that, not without piling on layer after layer of custom content and sitting here for several hours and still not really being able to recreate them because I just don't have the skills that I need to actually make a perfect likeness of them. So this is like the Timu or Wish version of the Tinkerbell fairies, I guess. So, like, they're not bad for what they are. I think it is very easy to tell who they're supposed to be, but at the same time, it is not anywhere close to what I wanted them to look like, I guess. But anyway, we're starting off with Tinkerbell, who is obviously the most iconic fairy. Started off this whole thing, made her appearance in 1950 in the Disney version, although I'm sure there's versions probably before that that she's in. I know in like the stage versions of Peter Pan, she was literally just like a light for the most part, at least in the early stuff of that. That may have changed after 1953 or something, I think is when Peter Pan came out. No. 1951? Alice, no. 1953. Alice in Wonderland was 1951 because Catherine Beaumont voiced both Alice and Wendy. Uh, some Disney facts for you. Anyway, Tinkerbell. I think she's adorable. Obviously, her face is not exactly how I wanted it to be, but I think her outfit is pretty accurate. I was so set on using the sleeve skirt from Enchanted by Nature because I just knew it would be perfect. And which is kind of funny because Tinkerbell does actually have just like a dress and I gave her a two-piece outfit. So, but I really wanted to use that skirt because I just knew it was going to be perfect. I think I had anticipated that the shirt I was going to use would be a little bit longer than it ended up being. It's fine though. Anyway, we're moving on to our second fairy of the video. This is Iridessa, and she is a light fairy in the Pixie Hollow universe. And I believe throughout the entire franchise, she was voiced by Raven Simone, which is really, really cool. And I honestly loved her. Her personality to me, I give all of the fairies like traits, and I don't know how accurate this really is. I'm kind of remembering based off of just like, I don't know how long it's been since I've watched the Tinkerbell movies, honestly. But I feel like I remember Iridessa being a little bit paranoid, and I might be wrong about that, but she was very, I guess, worrisome about everything. She was just like not always panicking, but whenever they got into a situation, she would freak out just a little bit. And I don't know, somehow that translated to me as her being a paranoid sim. So she has the paranoid trait, and I apologize if that's not accurate to Iridessa at all. But I unfortunately don't have any custom content that was inspired by the Pixie Hollow movies. So, not like the Winx Club, because I definitely had some stuff that was inspired by Winx Club when I did that recreation stuff. I am using just whatever I already have in the game. And unfortunately, that's like nothing for the Tinkerbell girlies. So, I did my best to kind of recreate their outfits, and unfortunately, it's just so hard to do. I kind of wish Enchanted by Nature had come out with more kind of nature-esque vibes for their clothing than just like the few fairy items we got. Because we have, I think, literally one item that is actually inspired by kind of that nature vibe for fairies, and that is that leaf skirt that I put on Tinkerbell and like a matching top for it. So, kind of whatever. But for Iridessa, I had put on this bodysuit that had little flowers on it, and I thought it was really cute. So, yeah, we are moving on to Silver Mist, and Silver Mist is a water fairy, and I'm gonna be honest, I loved Silver Mist. Growing up, she was my favorite fairy out of the whole bunch. I loved how serene and calm she was, her very caring nature. She just seemed like such a sweet character in the movies. And also, a long time ago, my favorite color was blue, and because Silver Mist was a water fairy, she wore blue all the time. So I think I just automatically latched onto her because of that. Like, I think a lot of people can probably relate where they pick a favorite character based on their favorite color. It's like if your uniform is this color, you're automatically my favorite. And that was the case for me and Silver Mist. So, yeah, but I love her. The only issue I had with her was that I have like a mod or something or a bunch of custom content that adds some presets to the game, like a lot more presets. You see them all the time when I'm doing Create a Sim stuff, but it's just like very small adjustments to every facial feature and then like saved into a thing. I don't know how they did it, but unfortunately, I don't have access to a majority of those presets. I forgot the word for a minute. When they're in their fairy form. And so you kind of see this as I'm going back and forth between them. Her fairy mode and her normal form don't actually have the same facial features. And I think I did manage to fix that, but I don't entirely know. It's just really strange. I need to see if these people that I got this preset stuff from, I need to see if they updated it to be able to access from the fairy mode, because it's just really strange. I didn't notice any differences until I was on Silver Mist, and then I was like, oh, her nose is a slightly different shape. Oh, her lips are a little bit fuller on her fairy form. And it was really strange. So I'm hoping that I fixed it and that their face is the same on, fairy mode and regular form. But if not, oh well, I guess I tried. All right, we are moving to Fawn now. Fawn is an animal fairy. I love her. I really wish that they had made more Tinkerbell movies that focused on these other characters, because the final Tinkerbell movie, Legend of the Neverbeast, actually primarily focused on Fawn more than it did Tinkerbell, and that was really interesting to me. I was kind of hoping that we would get some more stuff like that, but then Legend of the Neverbeast ended up being the last one. And I'm gonna be honest, the first time that I ever watched this movie, sobbing. Literally at the end of the movie, I was a mess. And it takes a lot for me to cry over movies. Like, I don't usually do that. I cry over Phantom of the Opera every single time. And that was basically it until I watched this last Tinkerbell movie. And then I was a mess. And I was like, okay, this is funny. Oh gosh. But yeah, Fawn has a very iconic style. I'm kind of mad about this actually. In the first movie, at least, and I think the first few kind of following that, she has this very iconic long braid. And I used to have a hairstyle that actually was like perfect for that. And unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. But in at least The Legend of the Neverbeast, last movie, she doesn't really have that braid anymore. She has a very like thick, kind of twisted ponytail, I guess. And I just didn't like it as much. So I enjoy and appreciate when their style changes, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like the braid was just more iconic, and I'm a little upset that that ended up going away. But now we are working on Rosetta. Rosetta to me was one of the hardest ones to recreate because especially like hair choices, I went through my entire hair catalog looking for something to match this. But she has that very like Southern Belle kind of vibe to her. Like, think Blanche Devereaux from Golden Girls kind of vibes. She's very much like that. And I think it's because, at least in the first movie, she was voiced by Kristen Chenoweth. And later on that changed. I don't know who the second voice actor is, unfortunately. But she has this kind of country Southern voice to her. And she is just amazing. Now, because I mentioned Pixie Hollow Online earlier, I do want to tell you guys. Um, my favorite character that I ever had on that game was a garden talent, and I was just obsessed. I think when I played, you were allowed to have like 3 profiles or 3 characters in one account. So I remember having a water fairy, obviously a nature fairy, and I think I also had an animal fairy whose name I do not remember for the life of me. But I remember the water fairy and I remember my garden fairy. My garden fairy was just named Emily because for some reason they let you have a character that doesn't have a surname. So that's my only character that ever was just a one named thing. My water fairy was Layla Starflower. And if that name sounds familiar to you at all, if you had seen me flying around in Pixie Hollow back in like, gosh, 2009 or so, when did the series end? When was this game out? I don't know. If you vaguely recall seeing a redheaded fairy named Layla Starflower in like a blue outfit, that was me. Not that anyone is gonna remember that. Or if you saw a nature fairy, garden fairy, whatever, named Emily, with kind of like blue black hair, also me. And yeah. So I spent that whole time just talking about Pixie Hollow Online while we were doing stuff with Rosetta. It's fine. The last fairy that I have made for this is Vidya, and Vidya is my favorite fairy now because A, purple, obviously. Um, but B, her character development across the franchise was so good because she started out as a kind of villain character in the first Tinkerbell movie, and then throughout the series, she becomes better friends with Tinkerbell and kind of the others. And it's nice to just see her be incorporated more throughout the movies. I loved her so much. And yeah, her jealousy in the first movie was definitely a little bit annoying. But I did love seeing her kind of evolve into more of a friend with the Tinkerbell fairies. And that's just, yeah. I like character development. What can I say? But yeah, I did think about adding Periwinkle and Zarina from the movies as well, but I decided to just stick with our classic original 6. But yeah, that is all of the fairies done. I'm gonna hop into the game and I will show you them in Kratos. Quick update, Pixie Hollow Online ran from 2008 until 2013, so I was probably only on it from like 2010, 2011 until the end of it. Anyway, here is Tinkerbell in her fairy form. She's got the wings, of course, and I actually gave all of the fairies the same wings because in the movies they really don't look that different. I feel like they all have kind of the same wings. So, yeah, but here she is, our happy girl. So she's got the leader of the pack aspiration because she is just iconic. She's kind of the one that gets everyone into messes, and obviously she has to be the leader, right? Kind of like Bloom. She is the main character. She is in charge. She's got the hot-headed trait, maker, and also good because she is crafty, but we know she has a bit of a temper. So. And then we have Iridessa here. I really like her. She has kind of a sunflower pattern on her outfit, which I could not really mimic. But there's a section in the middle that's like a black color to signify something on the sunflower. I don't know. But I tried to recreate that with a belt, and unfortunately I just didn't really get the point across, but that's what that's supposed to be. I know it stands out. It looks really strange. She has the fairy stories aspiration. Like I said, she's got the paranoid trait. I also gave her loves outdoors and the good trait. And then next up is Silver Mist, and she has this beautiful dress from Enchanted by Nature. And yeah, her face does not match with her regular form. It is the nose and the lips, I think. I can't do anything about that. I told you guys, some of the presets that I have on her are not available for fairies. But she has the Child of the Ocean trait. She also has generous and good. So I basically gave like a majority of them this good trait because I just couldn't think of a third one. Here is Fawn with her iconic braid. You would have actually seen in the video. I gave her different hair originally, but then I was looking back through Rosetta and I found a few other braids that I liked. So she ended up with this one. And yeah, her outfit is pretty simple, but I also feel like it is one of the more different ones. So between Tinkerbell, Rosetta, and Silver Mist, they all kind of have like dress stuff, and even Iridescent kind of does too. Vidya and Fawn are really the only ones that have like proper pants, so that kind of stood out to me. She has the Friend of the Animals aspiration. She is an animal enthusiast, self-assured, and also outgoing. And then next up is our darling Rosetta, who I think has to be my favorite out of all of these recreations. So does she give Southern Belle to you? I kind of feel like I should have given her freckles. I feel like that's something that she would have or has. I don't actually know. I didn't see any present when I was looking at the reference photos. But she is super cute. I really love her. And she has the romantic explorer aspiration. She is romantic, a plant lover, and also squeamish because we know our girl does not do mud. If you know, you know. And then lastly is Vidya. And I really like that I had this outfit because she is a no-dress girly. She is rocking that kind of one-piece outfit look, and just, I love her. So, she's got a bit more of an evil-ish look to her, so her eyebrows are a little bit more kind of curved down, and yeah, I think she came out really, really good. And for her, this is based on her original Tinkerbell movie kind of personality. She's got the Chief of Mischief aspiration because she did cause some chaos to kind of make Tinkerbell look bad. And then she has the mean trait, jealous, but also ambitious. So there we go. That is my recreation of the OG6 Tinkerbell Fairies. I hope that you guys like them and that you think I did them justice, because somehow I feel like I really didn't. I did have fun with this, even if it wasn't like a perfect recreation of the characters. It's not bad. You know, I didn't do the worst job, but I do wish that I had captured their likeness a little better. I am really mad about Silver Mist basically having two faces though. But that's not my fault. That is a preset issue. I did try to fix it. Honestly, doing this has made me just want to revisit the Disney Fairies universe, so I think I have my weekend plans settled. I will be watching the entire movie franchise this weekend. That may or may not be true. I don't know yet. But yeah, I just miss Tinkerbell stuff so much. I wish they were still popular and still has stuff coming out. I miss the charm of the original Pixie Hollow online, and I know the rewrites are out there again, but they are so far from done, and I just don't think that they can capture like the original charm and appeal from the game. So I don't really have my hopes high for them. I'm not too enthusiastic about the rewrites, but yeah, this was fun. It was nice to kind of revisit my childhood for a little bit. I think that's it for me today, honestly. I've had so much trouble just talking today. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the fairies. Did I do them justice? And I think with that, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and make sure you have notifications on so you don't miss anything. Be sure to follow my socials. Links are below. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.